we have breaking Dodgers news as the Dodgers are interested in bringing in one of their former pitchers. Hey, this is Mike Nelson of Dodgers Digest. Make sure to subscribe to the channel. Right now, 97% of you are not subscribed to the channel, the ones that are watching the videos. I want to thank the 2.4% that are subscribed. Make sure to hit that subscribe button so you don't miss out on any great Dodger content. So, let's get right into it. The Dodgers are interested in bringing in Rich Hill. That's the latest that we got from inside sources, from the Boston Globe specifically. It looks like Pete Abraham has reported that the Dodgers are one of the teams interested in bringing in Rich Hill. As we know, Rich Hill is 44 years old. Rich Hill has not pitched this season. He decided to take some more time with his family and didn't sign with any teams in 2024. But it looks like maybe Rich Hill is interested in coming back. The Dodgers are one of the teams that are interested in bringing him in. Right now, it looks like there's another team that's also interested, and we'll get into that a bit later. But Rich Hill was with the Dodgers. He's a familiar face. He was with the Dodgers between 2016 and 2019. He was 30-16 with a 3.16 ERA. Very solid numbers. A 1.08 whip in 69 games, 68 starts. Rich Hill had some blister problems during during his Dodger career. So that was an issue for him for sure. They got him in a trade from the Oakland Athletics, hard to believe, 2016, 8 years ago. But it's funny, Rich Hill was a pitcher for the Dodgers all before COVID. Think about that. That was the last time we saw Rich Hill pitch with the team. Just a long time ago. He's still playing. He's 44 years old now, but still an active, player that has not yet retired. So the question is, what are the Dodgers going to do here? Are they going to bring him in? I think that's what everybody's kind of on their mind. So what does Rich Hill bring to the table? I think that's what everybody's kind of wondering. What does he bring to the table? We already went over his stats in his years with the Dodgers, but let's take a look at his entire career. He's been pitching, 19 years? Some of you out there are probably less than 19 years old. When Rich Hill was starting his MLB career, you weren't here on this planet yet. So I was already here in 2005. I remember I was a young third grader watching the Dodgers already. Rich Hill was on the Dodgers. He made his debut with the Cubs. I don't remember watching Rich Hill with the Cubs, but I do remember 2005. Let me tell you, things were a lot different in 2005. In some ways, life was a little bit better, you could say. But anyway, getting back to Rich Hill's career, looking at his career numbers, he had some pretty solid numbers with the Cubs early on. Then he kind of had a tough stint with the Orioles, and then he kind of made his name with the Red Sox, right? Kind of made his name out there pitching with the Red Sox as a reliever. You got to remember that back in those days, Rich Hill switched to be a reliever after starting out as a starter. And then later on in his career, when he ended up on the Dodgers, he was a starting pitcher. He was part of those teams that went to the World Series in 2017 and in 2018. Man, 2017, as we know, the Astros stole that World Series from the Dodgers. We all know that. And, the Dodgers will be playing the Astros this weekend. That's going to be really interesting to watch again in Houston. And Rich Hill was part of that team, like I mentioned, that played the Astros in 2017. A World Series the Dodgers, should have had, basically was stolen. But that's for another video. So Rich Hill, going over his stats again, had a solid career with the Dodgers. His ERA was about 3.6, 3.3 for a couple years there. And then even was 2.4 in 2019, a year that he was pretty solid, but had, of course, the injury issues. Since then, he was solid for a few years there with the Mets, and then also with the Twins. Ended up back on the Red Sox, and now he's kind of on the free agent market again. And like I mentioned, the Dodgers are one of the teams that are interested. The other team that's also interested, it looks like, are the Yankees. The Yankees are the other team that is interested in bringing in Rich Hill. So that's the latest that we got from the sources. The Dodgers are basically going to have to maybe compete with the Yankees to try to bring in Rich Hill if it gets down to that. So the question is now, should the Dodgers make this acquisition? And I think, in my opinion, I think the Dodgers have to wait and see how the trade market, how the trade deadline goes. As we know, the Dodgers are currently in the midst of trying to pick up a couple star pitchers. That's kind of the latest that we got. The Dodgers are in the market trying to get like Garrett Crochet is a big name out there. Tarek Skubal are the two big names that are on the trade market right now. Their respective teams, the White Sox and the Tigers, are trying to trade both of those players. And the Dodgers looks like they're interested in bringing in, well, probably not both of them, but at least one of them. That's the latest that we got. It's going to be hard to bring in both, but it does look like both of them are going to get traded. It looks like neither of them are going to stay long-term with their respective teams, so they are going to be dealt. Now, the Dodgers have to wait and see if they're going to want to, get one of those guys, or they're going to be able to get one of those pitchers before they go ahead and sign Rich Hill. Now, the other option, too, is bringing in Rich Hill and telling, Rich, we're gonna bring you in, but we're gonna put you in out of the bullpen, right? I think that's also a option that the Dodgers have, right? I mean, the Dodgers are currently in a position where they need starting pitching, of course, but it doesn't hurt having, a veteran pitcher who's been in the league for close to 20 years, coming in and late in the games, especially if your team is struggling and you need something to get the momentum going, you could bring in Rich Hill with that experience and kind of calm things down, right? I think that's also an option that the Dodgers have. They're going to have to think about whether Rich Hill at the age of 44 can really be a starting pitcher because, like I mentioned earlier, he was a relief pitcher in his past. Look at the 2012 season where he pitched 25 games and didn't start any of those ball games. So he knows how to come out of the bullpen. In 2013, he played 63 games and didn't start any of those ball games. So Rich Hill is potentially a pitcher that could be a bullpen asset, right? Not really the star. I mean, I can't believe you really gonna. I mean, I don't believe it. I mean, I'll believe it when I see it, but I just don't see Rich Hill being a guy that's gonna come in and start, game 4, the NLDS, right? I mean, at his age, 44 years old, he's not gonna even have a full season. I just don't see it, right? Whereas I could see Rich Hill coming in and getting like 1 or 2 innings in a series or 3 innings. Pitch like 2 or 3 games in a supposed 7-game set against the Philadelphia Phillies, right? Now, also, I think you should sign Rich Hill if it gets down to the Yankees are going to get him. You don't want to have Rich Hill on the Yankees and the Dodgers and Yankees play in the World Series, and then Rich Hill comes in and strikes out Freddie Freeman with the bases loaded in the 7th inning. I mean, you don't want to have that, right? So if the Yankees are going to get him, who are potentially a contender, as we know, potentially could be going to the World Series as well, I think you have to take the chance if it gets to that, but also you got to wait it out here the trade deadline. The Dodgers are trying to pick up some starting pitching to solidify a team that's poised to win the World Series. Make sure to subscribe to Dodgers Digest.